My parents were both in the military. I come from two different racial backgrounds. My mother's Mexican American, my father's African American, and growing up, I was usually the only mixed kid in the class. So them being in the military, I've moved around a lot. I've lived in different parts of California. I lived in Illinois. I lived in Texas, and I even lived overseas in Japan. So I came back out here to California, graduated high school in Texas, and that was actually high school number three. Came back out here to California for college, and I did start off at a community college. Started off at Norco College, got my associates, and then I initially transferred to UCR. But at that time, I wanted to be a math major, but it wasn't as fulfilling as I thought it was going to be. And it just so happened that I was working at a Walgreens pharmacy where the pharmacy manager had pushed me to become a pharmacy technician. And over time, I took them up on that offer and I ended up really liking it. So I ended up changing my math major to something more toward pre-pharmacy. And I transferred to La Sierra University where I eventually got my degree and started working a year later at the Loma Linda University Medical Center. And a year after that, got into pharmacy school here at Loma Linda. So the pharmacy technicians are kind of like the gatekeepers of, between the patients and the pharmacist. We'll take in brand new prescriptions, specifically in the community setting, we'll take in the prescriptions. We'll call the doctor's offices, clarify some information. We'll basically walk patients through some of the processes to get their medications covered, or direct them to the pharmacist if they have any questions about their medications or any of the services that they're needing in regards to their medications. So if you want to think of it like pharmacists in the pharmacy is like the quarterback, and then your pharmacy technicians are all your other players on the field. So college, you meet a bunch of new people, and I felt like I had a leg up on that because I'm very used to being the new kid. So I felt comfortable like meeting and talking to new people. But there were times where there was those that told me that I couldn't do whatever it is I aspired to do. When I decided to change my stuff over to pharmacy, I got a lot of pushback from some people to tell me to be realistic. That pharmacy is not something that was attainable, with my grades or with my background, or I should have thought about doing this sooner because it's quote unquote too late for me. It took me a little bit longer than most to get my bachelor's degree. It still took me a couple of years to get into pharmacy school. And I started to get in my own head about not meeting a certain timeline to reach these goals. But as you can see now, you're on your own timeline. You don't need to do things right out of school. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to realize what you want to do. That way, it's something that will truly be fulfilling. There were several times. Actually, I remember being at UCR and telling my counselor, my guidance counselor, like, hey, like I want to go into pharmacy. Like, can we make that happen? And he pulled up my profile and he said, no, I don't think this is for you. Big thing was grades. Transferring from a community college to university was a bit of a culture shock. Things were just done differently. And he told me that I should rethink about what I want to do. He said, I'm already a pharmacy technician. Why don't I just stay a pharmacy technician? And for a while I thought, hey, you know what, maybe he's right. I'll just stay a pharmacy technician. But then I had a support system of friends and family that told me not to listen to people like that. I had a mentor that I worked with in the pharmacy that told me that, grades aren't everything. If I really want something, I go for it and I can get it. And here I am, graduated from pharmacy school, and I'm even a resident now. So I remember being at orientation, excited. Finally here, I got accepted into pharmacy school. Like this is finally actually happening. And once we started school, I had already been out of school for a couple of years, so it was a bit of a struggle, trying to get back into, studying, going over material. My biggest thing was learning how to ask for help. There were certain, unfortunately, there were certain environments in college that didn't really, the environment didn't make it feel welcome for you to like go to a professor and ask questions because there's just too many students. But one thing I learned very quickly here at Loma Linda is that the teachers and professors, all faculty, they're here for their students. Dr. Davis reached out to me many times, just asking if I was okay, if there's anything I needed help with. We go over some of the stuff I was struggling with. I actually remember the first quiz that we took, I failed it miserably, like really bad. And I was embarrassed. And I don't hold it against this person that said it, but they didn't realize I was the one that got the lowest grade on that quiz. And it was like, I'm telling you, it was bad. And they said like, oh, like, why are you in pharmacy school? Like, if you get a quiz like this low, that was the easiest quiz ever. And I was pretty bummed out about it, but I kind of use it as motivation to like prove other people wrong, because I had heard that for the longest time, that you're not cut out for pharmacy school. This isn't for you. Look at your grades. So I kind of use that as motivation to do better. Like seek help when I need it. And that's something that I noticed right away in terms of growth, is that I was never the person to really like ask for help before. And throughout pharmacy school, I would ask help from friends. I would ask help from faculty if there was something I didn't understand. I went to tutoring. It was nothing to be ashamed of. I just needed to understand the material in a different way. And as I carried through pharmacy school, there was definitely times things got hard, but I knew I had that support system here at Loma Linda specifically. And even though I ended up getting sick from a medical condition I have, I still continue to get that support from other students and faculty here at Loma Linda so I can be successful. And here we are 4 years later, graduated. Yeah, so it's funny. I started off school here at Loma Linda School of Pharmacy telling myself I'm only going to go to work because I was working at the medical center and go to school. That's all I was going to worry about. And then we had our white coat ceremony. And at the time, he wasn't our dean yet, but Dean Michael Hogue spoke at our white coat ceremony. And something he said really stuck out to me about the importance of getting involved in our profession. Because if we don't get involved in our profession, we would be at the mercy of others telling us how we can do our job. And so I put myself out there. I went to, apply for these different positions in different student organizations. And things work out for a reason, the way they do. Both positions I applied for, didn't get them. But then there was one position open for another organization, and it really just kind of helped take off like my professional pharmacy career. I ended up getting flown to Washington, D.C. I met other student leaders from across the country. We shared our passion for pharmacy and advocating for our patients. And it didn't just stop there. I ended up becoming a regional officer. So I was involved with different student pharmacists from 6 different states, over 20 schools of pharmacy. And then in my last year, I leveled up and became one of the National Standing Committee members. So we helped all student pharmacists from around the country just say, whatever they needed help in, especially being in the pandemic, how they can get involved, but keep themselves and others safe. And if it wasn't for those words spoken by Dean Hogue, it probably wouldn't have sparked that passion that I do have to be involved in our organization to help other student pharmacists and to help our patients. So I applied for residency a little bit later. I didn't apply the first round, but I applied the second round and got a couple of interviews, and I didn't match. I was kind of bummed. Residency wasn't even on my radar when I first came to school. For one, I didn't understand it. I'm a first-generation college student. I didn't understand what residency was. I applied for it. I didn't get it. I was bummed out, but I understood it wasn't the end of the world. But opportunities can uniquely present themselves. It was after graduating, I get a call from one of the senior clinical pharmacists and the director of home specialty pharmacy services. They gave me a call asking if I was still interested in residency because they saw that I had not matched. And I went to that interview. I killed the interview, and I got offered to be the first resident. So I'm what's called PGY1, or Postgraduate Year 1, Community Pharmacy Resident in Specialty Pharmacy Services, which is something that is, it's close to me because I am currently actually on specialty medications. So to be a part of a process that I am intimately familiar with to help others, toward, their recovery process, their healing, is something that I'm really looking forward to. And it's definitely going to be very rewarding. So um, I feel like I could stay in specialty pharmacy, but seeing that, um, it's not that I've changed my mind, but seeing that there's just been so many different opportunities. With whatever opportunity comes my way, um, it's probably the path I'll take. But as of now, I will probably stay with specialty pharmacy services. But some of the residency program directors have put in, they planted that seed of potentially doing a PGY2, um, which is a second year of residency, or even doing a fellowship. My time here at the School of Pharmacy, I've had the opportunity to work at a type 1 diabetes camp for kids and be on their medical staff. As a matter of fact, I was just there last weekend. And it's just a very rewarding experience to do such things. And doing the diabetes fellowship is potentially on my radar for year 2 as well. Make the plan, execute the plan, expect the plan to go off the rails, throw away the plan. Life can throw many curveballs. Life is a roller coaster. Plan stuff out, but be okay with being flexible. Be okay with change, and being okay with change will help you grow. Like I was saying earlier, I only wanted to work in school when I first got into pharmacy school. And I don't feel like I would have experienced the growth that I did had I not accepted that sometimes you have to change things up. It's okay to have plans. It's okay to make changes to those plans. But most importantly, believe in yourself. A lot of the times, our biggest enemy is ourselves. We have the potential to do whatever we want. And sometimes, a lot of the times, we are the ones that hold ourselves back. So I would tell my younger self to just keep on keeping on. We got this. If they want to shoot me an email or just find me on social media, I have no problem, giving you a little bit more about my background.